In this video, we'll be converting from rectangular to polar and from polar to rectangular. So let's first start off with our first example. We're given that r is equal to -2, theta is equal to -pi/4. So we want to convert this into rectangular. So we want to use the formula x equals r cosine theta, y equals r sine theta. Plug it in. R is -2, theta is -pi/4. Same thing with r sine theta. So cosine of -pi/4 is the same thing as cosine of pi/4, which is √2/2. And then we're just going to multiply it by -2. So we have the bottom -2, and then sine of -pi/4 is the same thing as negative sine of pi/4, which is -√2/2. So for the top, the 2's are going to cancel. We're left with -√2. At the bottom, the negatives are going to cancel, and so are the 2's. So you're left with √2. So the rectangular version of this is -√2, comma √2. Let's go on to the next one. We're given polar coordinates, again, 7, comma 3pi/2. So r is 7, the angle is 3pi/2. So if I were to draw this and put a unit circle on, 3pi/2 is over here, and we're going 7 down, right? So 7 down will be, all the way down here, which is -7. So the unit circle will be -1, but of course it's not drawn to scale. Okay, so this will be on the y-axis. The x is 0, the y is -7. So in my opinion, this is the fastest way to do it. You can, of course, do r cosine theta, and you'll still get the same answer, and then y is r sine theta. So obviously, it's a little bit of work, but once you draw the graph, I think it's much easier. Moving on, now we're given rectangular. So we have 5√3/2, -5/2. This one is a bit challenging, but the formulas that we need are x squared plus y squared equals r squared, and inverse tangent y/x is theta. Here x is 5√3/2, y is -5/2. We're going to set that equal to r squared. So we're going to square everything in the parentheses. 5 squared is 25, √3 squared is 3, 2 squared is 4, and then same thing with the other parentheses. So let's see, this will just be 25. And the way you can do this is, in the first fraction, there's 3 copies of 25/4. And in the other one, there's 1 copy of 25/4. So altogether, there's 4 copies of 25/4. 4's would cancel. We're left with 25. Okay, so that means r is 5. This equation is done. Move on to the next one. I have inverse tangent y/x. So that will be -5/2 over 5√3/2. Okay, we have to be very careful because, 1, it's inverse tangent, but 2, this doesn't look right. I mean, we don't know what this looks like, right? What angle it is. So what I'm going to do is remove the 5's by dividing both sides, top and bottom, by 5. So I'm left with, so it looks like this is a negative, right? So that'd be -1/2 over √3/2. And inverse tangent, the range here goes from -pi/2 to pi/2, but you do not include -pi/2 and pi/2. So where is this? So here x is positive, right? So x is the bottom. You want to think of this as y and x. So clearly it has to be somewhere over here. The x is longer, so this will be pi over 6, but negative because we're below the x-axis. So the angle will be negative pi over 6, and r is 5. So this is the polar form. Let's move on. The rectangular form is 1/2 and negative 1/2. Again, we want to use, well, actually, this one we could be clever. So we could still use the x squared plus y squared equals r squared, and the inverse tangent equals y over x. But why don't we do this? Let's graph it. So we're in the second quadrant. This is 1/2. This is negative 1/2. We can make a right triangle. Because x and y are the same, this is 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. So it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. I'm going to draw this out bigger so you can see. So this is negative 1/2. This is a 1/2. So the hypotenuse is just 1/2 root 2, right? If you have a 45, 45, 90, it's just x root 2. And so r is the hypotenuse. R is 1/2 root 2. So I need to find is the angle. The angle here is 45 degrees below the x-axis. 45 is pi over 4. So that would be negative pi over 4. And this is our answer. Okay. We have a couple more. Let's look at x equals negative 3. We're going to convert this to polar. Well, x is just r cosine theta. So r is negative 3 over cosine theta, which we can rewrite it as negative 3 secant theta. So in other words, r is negative 3 secant theta. Next, we'll be looking at r equals tangent theta. So this one we want to convert into rectangular. Okay, this one is also tricky. So we know that x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So if I take the square root, it'll just be r. Now tangent theta is y over x. This is just one of the formulas. So we could just replace this. So we're going to replace r with square root x squared plus y squared. So we have square root x squared plus y squared. And then tangent theta is y over x. So we'll replace that with y over x. So this is our rectangular equation. Okay, one more. R is equal to 3 sine theta plus 3 cosine theta. Ideally, I want to have an r in front of sine and cosine. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by r to get r squared equals 3r sine theta plus 3r cosine theta. R squared is just x squared plus y squared. R sine theta is y. R cosine theta is x. So this is my rectangular equation.